All right, Aries. Now, this worries me a little bit, but it's not like as bad as it seems. So, nightmare from Lay Vampire, psychic protection, shield and bad dreams. Sorry, guys. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled gossip. Now, when I see nightmare, I think of somebody who is coming out of a nightmare phase in their life, having been through a lot of difficulties, but now it's saying that you're going to have protection. So some of you may be going through insomnia, bad dreams, sleepless nights. But this card is saying that that phase is coming to an end. But looking at gossip, what I worry about here is, this may be the reason why, you guys are going through the nightmare phase. Now, on the other hand, this card is talking about needing to appreciate the people that are around you, or you might lose valued relationships. Basically, the story behind this card is these two women don't understand why the woman in the middle, is the way she is. She's super free, super open, super creative. And then when she passes away, they feel like shit for treating her badly. So it's like a reminder to, appreciate the uniqueness of others that are around you. All right, Aries, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. Judgment. Jeez. So, assessment, atonement, and rebirth. Judgment is one of those cards where, immediately I question what is it that you're passing a judgment on. And I don't know. I feel more so with this being here than you needing to make amends for the past. But absolutely, judgment is about needing to make amends, walking away from the past, going through the review, letting it go, and then going through that rebirth. But it's also about hearing that call to action. But for some of you, it could just simply be making a judgment on a situation. But then the warning there is to be careful about making any harsh judgments on yourself or consequently other people. Oh, wow. Talk about Phoenix rising from the ashes. Here you go. You have both. So in the past, you have death. This is saying that there was a major ending happening here. It's like a major phase of your life has ended, and now you're moving into a new phase. Wow. Wow, Aries. Now, again, death and transformation, needing to go through that transformation, like big time here. But again, death is saying that something major has ended in the past, and now you're moving forward on this, definitely with judgment being there. But man, wow, really with the majors. So in the present, strength, needing to pull on that reserve, having the inner strength to deal with the things that you're facing here, especially with death as the past coming through. Wow. And these are all major events for you guys. So, and with strength sitting there, it kind of goes back to your last reading too, where I feel like there's, a need to be strong with what you're facing, but also be patient and gentle. Like, you don't want to get overly angry about any situation, but I don't think that that's it. I think more so that, you're going through this major phase here. You're moving into a new one, and there's a need here to keep that inner strength. My goodness. Ooh, that's not good. Future conditions. The Four of Cups. So maybe feeling a little numb, a little lethargic emotionally. Some of you may be looking at what you have and feeling like it's not good enough, like there's got to be something better than this. It can be talking about like rejecting offers too, but I feel more so like there is this feeling of there's got to be something better. Especially if you're feeling down in the dumps emotionally about something. And then on top of that, going through this major life change, right? Something ended, like done for good, done. And I think you're moving forward okay, but what I worry about here is with the Four of Cups, and that may be why there needs to be, this strength, right? Your best path to follow, the Ace of Swords. So truth, needing to see the truth, speak the truth, know the truth, having clarity, absolute mental clarity. My mother always used to tell me that the truth will set you free. And for some of you, it may be a need for you to communicate that truth, being the sword's energy here. But it is telling you to tap into your clarity of thought before you make any kind of judgments based on what you've been through in the past. I mean, you're hanging in there definitely with strength, but I worry about where you get to here with the Four of Cups. And we'll see how this is lining up. Ooh, and that may be why you're needing to have strength. So in your environment, the Nine of Swords, bad thinking, bad mental thinking, fear, anxiety. It's not good. Not good. And it's no wonder why the Ace of Swords is sitting here, because this is telling you that you need to see the truth. This is not the truth. But with death being here, the other thing that I worry about is, how difficult is it for you to just close the door on something here? Because this is major, It may not have been so easy for you to go through. There may be some regret, some fear here. But the thoughts are not in a good spot. And then when you have the emotional backing with it, it's even worse. So with strength being in the present, yeah, you're really going to have to hang on to that inner strength when you're going through this here. I feel like this is something that, you weren't ready to have end, but it's done. And judgment being your overall here, really it is about just letting the past go and moving on. But, that's a lot easier said than done. But it is about going through the review, making your amends, but going through that rebirth is what you should have been doing here with death, right? But this is suggesting that this was not an easy thing. Not an easy thing at all. Your hopes and your fears, the Three of Wands. So now my worry here is, what do you expect to see? Because when you're looking at the Three of Wands, this is somebody who's waiting to see how things are going to develop based on the actions that you've took. Because you're coming out of the Two of Wands into this. Now, I've always said when you're looking out over the cliff on this one, you should already know what to expect here. I think for some of you, you don't. It's like you're not really sure on what you expect to have happen after this, And some of you may just still be waiting to see how things are going to move forward here. But what I don't like is where you come in, with future conditions as a Four of Cups. Again, it's like being numb, just emotionally numb. Like there's got to be something better than this, but I don't know what it is that you expect to see happen though, I mean, definitely it's going to be based on you and the actions that you take. You definitely have the inner strength to do this. But, again, you're going to have to walk away from the past here. I really feel like there needs to be, just this clean slate, so to speak. But for some of you, it's just too hard, right? And there needs to be truth and clarity, especially involving like this major ending happening. And then the outcome, the Fool. Now, what I worry about here is if you're jumping off the cliff, if you're going to turn around and grab onto the edge and go, oh shit, pull me back up. The Fool is talking about needing to have faith, having faith in the experience. And for some of you, it may just simply be that energy. This was extremely difficult to deal with. I'm done feeling emotionally numb. In comes the Fool, which is perfect for you, and boom, I'm gone. I'm on the new path. This is the clean slate because the Fool is the clean soul, and you have judgment sitting there. So I do think, though, for some of you, you're getting ready to take a new path, definitely. But it's going to be out of like this emotional blah funk. Like, I'm done feeling like this. I'm done feeling bored, lethargic and numb. Like, Aries feeling this is not good, period, But I don't know. I feel like it's because of this you just start going here on a different path. I'm not necessarily seeing the Fool as a bad thing, but then again, I do worry about what you're expecting to see happen here. But that's only because I'm looking at the Nine of Swords here in your environment. But again, you do have judgment there. You do have the Ace of Swords, truth and clarity. And once that truth and clarity hits you, it may be easier for you to start taking action and moving the hell on, basically. Because I don't see you staying with this long. You know, it may be affecting you now, especially again with it being a major ending, but where you're going is totally somewhere different here. And I almost feel like it's about damn time. You know, I'm not seeing the Wheel of Fortune, but the Fool is a good energy to come out with. It's just, you know, again, you have to do what you're going to do with a clean slate, right? Guidance, communication, and integration. Wow, wow. Okay, so now when it comes to guidance, first of all, right, like needing to communicate and pay attention to your inner guidance, especially when you're doing communication. And for me, it comes back to the Ace of Swords. Like seriously needing the truth, needing to speak the truth, right? But also needing to pay attention to your inner guidance when you do that. Integration. Integration is talking about the integration of the mind, the body, and the soul. And getting things going in the same direction. But definitely it's going to be important to communicate. But also, before you do that, I really think that you need to pay attention to what your inner guidance is telling you before you speak your truth here. And then, you know, that's where I feel like it goes back to the Fool, where you start moving on a new path. All right, guys, so one from each. So we're going to start with Whispers of Love, and then I'll be pulling one from the Romance Angels. Listen with your heart. You are listening to what is being said to you, but need to listen with a loving heart. So for some of you, you have to open up and you need to listen to what is being said, right? And be open to the communication that you're getting, especially in terms of, you know, love and your relationships. But that's not a bad one. It's just telling you that, yeah, you're hearing it, but you need to really listen. All right, guys, now one from the Romance Angels. Free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. Yeah. I don't know. I don't feel like a lot of you are trapped. But, you know, if you're talking about a relationship here, it can definitely feel that way, especially with the Nine of Swords being in your environment. You know, and for a lot of you, this just may be a situation where a relationship, a major one, has ended, possibly for some of you. But, you know, you need to take back control of your life, which is funny because it reminds me of the Emperor, which is your card. But, you know, I feel like you get there with the Fool being there. I just think that it's going to be something that is going to take you a minute to work through. But, like, eventually you get to this point here where you're like, all right, I'm going. Especially with the Fool being there. And then the Three of Wands, I question a little bit. But, you know, again, right, like needing to communicate your truth. And then not only that, but living your truth. Because this ain't it. This ain't it. That's yuck. You know, there is something better, definitely.